Many of those on board a Pakistan International Airlines plane were flying home from Lahore to celebrate their Eid holiday. But then both engines failed, and as the pilot tried to land the second time, the Airbus A320 crashed into homes in a crowded residential neighborhood in Karachi.
A dead body fell on my car. 3 doors of my car were locked. The door on my side was open. First I took my people out. After that I saw a passenger outside the plane. His legs were wounded. He was absolutely all right. He was alive. He was speaking. He asked me to save him. I tried to pull him out, but his legs were badly stuck in the emergency door.
Outside mortuaries and hospitals, people look for their loved ones. One man was shocked to discover his nephew could be among the dead.
Last night I spoke to him and I said, "Are you coming to Karachi?" He said, "No, my leave request is not approved." So I was not expecting him on that flight. My sister called me and told me to check the crashed plane, and I said, "Why?" She said he was on it.
Only 2 people survived. Mohammed Zubair is one of them.
There were cries of children, adults and the elderly. The cries were everywhere and everybody was trying to survive. I undid my seatbelt and I saw some light and tried to walk towards it. Then I jumped out 10 feet onto the ground.
Most bodies were charred beyond recognition. Families want to take them home to be buried. First, they have to be identified through the National Database Registration Authority, or the NADRA.
No one is telling us the true picture. I've identified my mother's body. They've also verified with NADRA. Now they say a team will come, and according to the government authorities' instructions, then we will start handing over all the bodies.
At the crash site, rescue workers and local people are working to clear the rubble. Pakistan International Airlines, or the PIA, says there will be an investigation.
There will be a transparent inquiry of the incident, and there will be no role of PIA in it. There will be no role of civil aviation in it. This inquiry will be carried out according to international rules by the Aviation Ministry with the permission of the Prime Minister, the summary of which is under approval.
The commercial flight was one of the first to resume this week after planes were grounded by the coronavirus pandemic. And after struggling with weeks of lockdown restrictions, many in Pakistan are now in mourning. Priyanka, Gupta, Al Jazeera.
Live now to Islamabad and our correspondent Kamal Haider. Kamal, have they recovered the flight recorders yet?
We have been told that the flight data recorder was retrieved yesterday from the rubble. The cockpit voice recorder, we are not sure about that because that will also be providing vital clues. However, according to some leading aviation experts, they believe that a series of events may have led to this particular crash, and they're basing it on the evidence that they have been able to see. These are pictures taken by amateur photographers, and they are giving some clues. Now, this is what they are saying. This particular flight, 8303, took off from Lahore. The weather was clear at both ends, arrived in Karachi on time, about 1 hour and 30 minutes flight time. It was coming in on the approach landing, but just before the final moments, the pilot told the control tower, and obviously there is record for this because most of these communications are accessible to international people who are watching this. The pilot saying that he has to turn around and come in for another run. And apparently, they say that in the cockpit, they could have, during that communication, an alarm or ding-ding sound, they say, and that would possibly indicate that the landing gear was not fully extended. The pilot then had a choice to either crash land or to take back into the skies and come in for a smoother landing. They say that possibly both the engines hit that hard tarmac. The pilot was able to recover, take the plane to about 3,000 feet, and then make a round. At that point, we are told that there is a technology on these aircrafts. It's known as the ram air turbine. These are employed as emergency power to give hydraulic power as well as power for electrical systems, that was indeed engaged, which is done when both engines have failed. So it could have been that particular incident, but these are indeed, obviously, the investigators will be looking at all angles. So far, the only explanation that we've been able to piece together, but indeed something happened during that initial landing where the landing gear is said to have failed.
And
Peter?
as far as the air crash investigators are concerned, Kamal, is it a particularly difficult assignment for them, given that not only are we talking about a downed aeroplane, we're also talking about an aircraft that came down on top of residential properties?
Well, that is definitely going to stir a debate here, because let's not forget, Pakistan is a poor country. When the Karachi airport was built in the late 40s or early 50s, it was far away from town, and then the city grew by size, and restrictions that should have been imposed by the Civil Aviation Authority to ensure that there are no population centers around airports. But in Pakistan, people have been congregating nearer to the airport for their residential complexes. The government now has to really consider whether that is a safe thing, because it would represent a threat not just to the people who fly around, but people who are on the ground.
Kamal, thanks very much.